Good afternoon, everyone. We'll go ahead and start the meeting. It is now 7:01 p.m. The Board of Aldermen of the City of Brookshire will conduct a regular meeting on Thursday, July 21st, 2022 at 7 o'clock p.m. in the chambers, council chambers of the Brookshire Municipal Building located at 4029 Fifth Street. We'd like to do a prayer before we start. Anyone in the audience would like to give us one? Sure.
Our gracious Father, which art in heaven, we pause as we gather at this time and offer thanks for the blessings that God has poured out upon us. We're grateful for this nation that we have the privilege to reside in, for the freedom that we enjoy. We're grateful for watching over and protecting our great state and helping us to continue to grow and become better human beings as we seek to serve Thee and each other in all that we do. We pray, Father, this night that Thy Spirit might guide and direct our efforts, that we might find wisdom through Thy guidance. We ask that You would be, especially with this board, that they might make those plans and decisions which will be most beneficial for our city and for the citizens thereof. And this we ask in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
States of America, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Damn, see? Almost missed this. Ms. Harrison, can you call us to order, please?
Roll call.
Mayor Branch,
Same thing. Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Branch,
Here.
Alderman Stamps,
Present.
Alderwoman Newendorf,
Present.
Alderman Hito,
Present.
Alderwoman Taylor.
Here.
Have a quorum, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll go to agenda item number 3, is public comments. And first on the list is Miss Jessica Warthall.
I just wanted to sign in and say hi. That was it. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, and the next person we have is Tony.
Mayor Branch, City Council. I wanted to let you know that I will be working with Robert Kuchikis from the Waller County Commissioner's Office on the Waller County 150th anniversary celebration. And if there is any concerns or ideas, thoughts the council has about how Brookshire would like to be or could possibly participate in those events, how you'd like to be represented at those events, I would love to talk with any or all of you at any time. Our first meeting is on the 28th, so next week, on the 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's up at the Commissioner's Courthouse up in Hempstead, so I'll be attending that meeting in person. And if you would like to reach out and talk to me at any time between now and then, I think I have most of you on my Facebook friends, so. But if you catch me at the meeting or whatever, I'll be happy to chat with anybody who might be interested and have some ideas about how Brookshire would like to be a part of that celebration. I just want to let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Agenda item number 4, discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 1370, a resolution approving subject to conditions for the preliminary plats of the MASN apartment subdivision creating 2 lots, totally approximately 7.99 acres, generally located northeast of the intersection of 1489 and South Street in Brookshire, Texas.
So Mayor and Council, this is just a resolution like you've seen before for preliminary plat.
It looks like there's one condition is that the applicant get an environmental impact study done before there's an issuance of building permit. But everything else looks like it's up to code so far. I think we have you with this. So if you have any questions, the applicant's here, and then also our development services coordinator's here as well.
Could you state your name, please, sir?
Randy Liska with Baker and Lawson.
Randy, can you say the last name again, please?
Liska, Liska.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Go ahead and explain to us what.
Well, it's, as it was said, it's basically a two-lot subdivision. One lot will be for 6 apartment buildings with approximately 96 units, and the other lot is actually a reserve for the detention pond. And we're working towards getting everything approved and whatnot through the city, the water district, and the drainage district.
Okay. Anything else? Share with us? That's it? Okay, thank you, sir.
One question, Mr. Randy, how long would this project take, or estimated time for this completion of this project?
Be honest with you, we're the engineering firm, we're working for the architect, and I haven't put a timeline on the expected time to get everything constructed and whatnot, but once we have to get through all the permitting first.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
What was the condition that you?
I mean, your code requires environmental impact study, and so that's just the condition here is that per the code that before the final building permit's issued, that an environmental impact study be done for the project. But right now, I mean, like again, just a two-step process, preliminary first, and then, I mean, which is fairly good, because sometimes on preliminaries, you'll see tons and tons of conditions. The fact that there's only one means that they've complied with almost all the code so far, so that's a good sign.
Relayed to our client that the study needs to be performed. They had a study for the site, I believe it was about 10 years old, so they have to do an updated study for it.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Ready for a motion?
I make a motion that we'll approve resolution number 1370.
Second.
Ms. Grant, you second?
Yes.
Ms. Newendorf?
4.
Mr. Hill?
4.
Ms. Taylor?
4.
Okay, motion carries. We'll move on to agenda item number 5. Discussion and possible action regarding resolution number 1371, a resolution approving, subject to conditions, the final plat of the Brookview Townhouses subdivision, creating 52 lots, 15 blocks, and 11 general located northwest of the intersection of 359 and Stella Road in Brookshire, Texas. We have anyone?
So Mayor, this is instead of a preliminary, this is the final plat. This one has, unlike the previous one, has a lot of conditions. And I don't think the applicant's here, but from what I understand, that the developer and applicant has met with the city and has indicated they wanted to pull this from the city, but I don't think that we've received anything formally for that. So just so I understand the process, when it comes to platting or plans, when they're submitted, by state law, we have, when something is accepted by the city, we have 30 days to approve it, or it's deemed approved. So here, we're on the very tail end of that time frame, the shot clock. And so you have 30 days to take action on something unless it's formally withdrawn. And since we don't have that formal withdrawal, then my suggestion is that, well, you have three options as a council on something like this. You can approve it, you can approve it with conditions, or you can deny it. If you approve it with conditions, that means those conditions got to be satisfied before this thing, since it's a final plat, before it can be filed with the county. If you deny it, it's not much different than that. It's just that what we'll have to do on our end is we'll send a certified letter to the applicant stating all the reasons for denial, which will be the same conditions that are there. Because the applicant has, from what I understand, the applicant has indicated that they want to withdraw this at this point and work on it still, I think it would be a clean move to deny it. And then what I'll do then is draft a letter to the applicant with all the conditions associated with it, reasons for denial. And that provides them with something to stand on, so that way when they'll have to resubmit and they can have to correct all of those issues before we consider it again. And I think it just helps us because we're not confused about what time frame we're in now, and they can't come back and say that we've blown or by default approved their plat. And if you approve it with conditions, which, I mean, you can do that too, but there's so many conditions with this one that haven't been met yet that it's gonna be an administrative problem to try to follow up with all that stuff. So I think the cleanest thing is deny it with those conditions, and then we'll get that in contact with the applicant. But I know Lots is here too, and she's been dealt with the applicant the whole process, so if there's any other questions, you can feel free to ask her. And just by the way too.
Mr. Pruitt,
Yes, sir?
did we get any clarification on whether or not the annexation agreement was formally filed?
That's part of the deal, is that I don't have any clarification on that yet. So,
And how long ago was that development agreement
I
signed?
think it was back in March. I think back in March sometime. So that's another one of the issues with this one is there's two parts to this overall development, essentially. There was one that was inside the city limits, and then this one was outside the city limits. So we entered into development agreement, is what it's called, for this portion, to annex that property and then have certain development standards associated with it. And you all approved that, and I'm 99% sure the other side, this group has had that development agreement to sign, but we need signatures for both sides before it's filed. I don't think it's been filed yet. So essentially, that's a big problem if we're trying to, apply development standards for a property that's essentially still in the ETJ that hasn't officially been annexed. And so again, that would be also cleared up if you don't approve it, you just deny it, and then all that stuff can get cleared up between now and when they resubmit.
I make a motion that we deny Resolution 1371.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Newendorf. Mr. Stamps,
4.
Mr. Hill,
4.
and Ms. Taylor.
4.
So just so everyone's clear, the way that the resolution's drafted right now, we have to draft it to anticipate approval, but since you have denied it, I'll just go back and I'll reword it so that it's affirmative denial of the thing, and then we'll send the letter to the applicant.
But that will give them the opportunity to,
Yeah, and just so you know, follow up, this is where state law does not do our city any favors, any city officially. So we have this 30-day clock on the front end. We have to approve something when it's submitted. When you do something like this, when it's denied, or even if you were to approve the conditions, once it's resubmitted, the applicant has no time frame. They're not bound by any time frame now, so they can have all the time in the world to work on it. But once they resubmit, we have 15 days then to approve it. So again, the intent of the state law is to get these things approved, and so our cities can't just keep, holding up development. But the point of having that denial with those conditions is they have to take the time to solve all those issues before it's resubmitted. But we just have to know that at some point that's gonna come back, and then we'll have 15 days to approve it, to get it on a council agenda and go, so.
Any other discussion? Questions? Motion?
It's already
it's
been,
ready.
Oh. I'm sorry. Let's move on to agenda item number 7.
6.
Did I say six?
We understand that you've been out in the heat today, Mayor. We'll give you a break. It's 6 though.
Discussion, agenda item number 6. Discussion and possible action regarding the use of Posit Pay on city payroll checks. Mr. Hill.
Yes, Mayor and Council. Is Ms. Harrison in attendance this evening?
Yes.
If Ms. Harrison can kind of give us a broad overview of what positive pay is and what the benefits are. Employees have complained about the ability to cash city checks, and so I'd like to discuss what the purpose of this particular function is.
Positive pay came about because we've had a few instances where we've had and this is only on the general fund, that's where your payroll checks go through. And we had a couple of fraud cases where checks were written on that account. One of them didn't even look like our check. Somebody created checks using our routing and checking account number. And so the bank suggested that this is what a lot of cities use. It's a fraud protection. And I do know that at the beginning when we started this, not only payroll, but also your accounts payable checks that go through general fund, we had some glitches and kinks to get out. I know lately some of the payroll checks have been kicked back. Like if somebody wants to go and cash the check, they couldn't, but you could deposit it. It's a process. Once we create checks that go through the general fund, there is a process that the staff has to create a file that is then sent to the bank. And if you take a check to the bank and that list didn't get through for whatever reason, they will not cash the check. They will let you deposit it. There's really no way to fix that when the files go over and it doesn't go over correctly, or there's just a glitch. There's been an instance where the file didn't get sent over. But there's nothing we can do about a file that goes over incorrectly. And the last, I think, few times that the checks were denied being cashed, the file didn't go over because I went and pulled the paperwork where the file was sent and saw that, called the bank, and the file just did not get over there. It was just something in the system. But this is the fraud protection that the bank suggested that we use. And so if the checks are not on that list and something comes through to be cashed, they will not cash it. So we had, at the beginning, we had a lot of issues because there was even vendors who checks did not go through.
The concern I have, if a vendor's check doesn't come through, then go through, then we have late payments. We look like we're not paying on
No,
time.
they don't charge us late fees. It's not that the vendor didn't get the check, it's just that when they put it in the bank and if it doesn't clear, the issue there is if we want to honor paying those fees that the bank charges them for the check not going through. It has not been that many, but I mean, if you really want a real clear understanding or better understanding of why you use this or what the real purpose, you know, you could get a banker here or have them on the phone to explain it maybe a little better than I did. But it's for fraud protection is the bottom line, is what it was for. And it was suggested by the bank that we use positive pay.
Well, when I've had mine not cashed a few times, and they said it's not part of Wells Fargo, so, or is this a different program separate
It
of
is a Wells Fargo, yes, ma'am.
Well, I suggest that we table this, Mr. Hill, even though that this is your agenda item, and have a banker come explain to us maybe how
Well,
this
I
works.
would agree with that. I'd agree with that, Councilwoman Branch. But what I'd like to also see is the information from the genesis of this, what those fraud checks were, that kind of started this, so we have that information to review as well. So Ms. Claudia Harrison will pull that together, and then we'll work with Wells Fargo to be at a meeting in the near future. So my motion would be to table that pending those two items.
Second.
Mr. Stamps,
For.
Ms. Newendorf,
4.
and Ms. Taylor.
4.
This item is tabled to the next meeting. Agenda item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding department heads report on the first council meeting of the month. Mr. Hill.
Mayor and Council, this is pretty simple. I think we as a council would benefit from a monthly update from all department heads. So I'd like to propose that becomes a standard agenda item as a mandatory report at the first city council meeting of each month.
That was the motion, Mr. Hill?
That will be my motion.
Second.
May I ask what kind of report is he asking for?
Just any kind of report.
Just a
It's
department?
going to vary by department, what's going
activity?
on. Department activity, what's going on in your department, needs of your department, recent changes, new employee hires could be part of that discussion. Just a good overview of what's going on so that we're aware. And if we have questions about what's going on in that department from citizen feedback, that would give us the opportunity to discuss that with you as well.
Back in the past, y'all gave us reports, Ms. Harrison, that the Public Works told us what they had accomplished within the last month and what their future endeavors look like, as well as fuel logs for the police department. I'd like to also see arrest and tickets written report from the police department, but I think what happened is, and I really hate this excuse, but when the pandemic came, we quit getting those reports, and it just needs to sort of start back up.
I move to amend the motion by inserting the words "and committee chair" after the word "heads." So the motion would read discussion about, or I guess, to have department heads and committee chair reports on the first council meeting of the month.
And your committee chair would be who, Ms. Newendorf? I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
Just any committees that the city might have. So like I know in our last meeting, I think we moved to
Oh,
have
okay, I understand.
I don't remember what committee it was, but any committees that we have, it'd be an opportunity for them to brief council on what might be going on and any needs that they may have.
I'll second that amendment.
Y'all got me confused.
So Mayor Branch, do you want to do the Roberts Rules fun here, and we vote on the amendment and then go to the original motion?
Sure.
Is that what Councilwoman Newendorf wants to do here? Smiling, I guess that's what you want to do. So Mayor Branch,
Sure. So I moved and Mr. Hill seconded the amendment. So then you just take a vote on that. And then if it passes, then the new main motion would be for department heads and committee chairs. And then you take a vote on that. But you already have a motion and a second on the table for that. So then you just need a vote.
Yes, yes.
Isn't Parley Pro fun?
I'm not thrilled, but
Mr. Stamps.
For.
Ms. Taylor.
4.
Ms. Branch.
I'm abstaining because I have no earthly idea what I'm voting for. Y'all
You just
totally
change
lost me.
the chair. That's it.
so
Are we voting for Mr. Hill's first motion, or are we voting for Ms. Newendorf's amendment?
The amendment.
Amendment.
Voting to add the words "and committee chair" to the report.
Four.
Thank you. Motion carries. Agenda item number 8.
Nope, you got it.
You have to vote on the main
I
motion.
have to vote on the amended.
But you already have a motion and a second on the main
Yeah.
motion, so
So that,
Just,
so,
I didn't get A, so just.
all
ask
you
me
need
and
is
it'll be A.
Mr. Stamps, myself, and Ms. Taylor.
Mr. Stamp,
4.
y'all drive me wild.
Me too.
Ms. Taylor,
4.
Ms. Branch.
I
She seconded it. I'll vote for.
Oh. I thought you made the motion.
That was the second one. The first one,
We're playing Robert's rules all of a
Y'all,
sudden.
y'all,
man.
y'all driving me
It's-
crazy.
I didn't mean to. There was just a motion already made, and I was.
It's good. It's done.
Just-
Agenda item number 8, discussion and possible action regarding hosting a workshop with the Board of Directors of the Water District. Mr. Hill.
Mayor, this is an item that's been on our agenda many times. We just had a representative from the Water District here the last meeting. This was an item that multiple council members expressed the need for us to have. I did take the step after our meeting to reach out to Mr. Whitaker, who let me know that they were about to have a water board meeting and would try to get with us after that meeting to schedule a workshop. I then took the next step of reaching out to every single member of the water board via their official email address from the water board website, and not a single person has replied to the request to meet with the city. So unless the mayor or potentially any of the 2 representatives from the water district that also work for the city are in attendance tonight have an answer to this, I don't know what we can do at the moment.
we did get, Councilman Hill and the rest of council, Mayor, we did get a letter from the water board's attorney that seemed, I guess it was Mr. Whitaker must have talked to him, because it seemed to reflect what council, the action you took last time to get this on the agenda. And so he, I'm assuming at the discretion of the entire board, reached out to the city through that letter and said that they'd like to meet too. But so, I mean, I don't know why that they wouldn't respond to your emails, Councilman Hill, but we did get a letter from their water board attorney saying the same thing, that they'd like to meet. So essentially at this time, it just sounds like we need to set a date or something when both bodies can meet together.
Well, I hate to put you on the spot, Mr. Pruitt. Just know I'm doing it in love.
Okay.
At one time when we couldn't get this taken care of, Alderman Green asked you to intervene for us, so maybe you could intervene for us since it seems to be going.
Is there, since I'll be, I mean, I can reach out to that attorney and get something scheduled. Is there a time that you all think would be best to do some meeting like this? And I mean, I think if we
Well-
decide that now, then I think we can use that, I mean, not to our advantage, but at least let them understand that we're free on a certain night. They can make themselves available.
I mean, I'd like to say for the record, it's kind of in poor taste that we have to go through the city attorney and the water district's attorney to set such a meeting as this.
That's right.
But yes, if Mr. Pruitt would be willing to take on this endeavor of reaching out to their attorney and scheduling it through them, that's what we need to do, because there's other issues that have come up recently that are causing more issues, and we need to get on the same page.
Would the council I'm gonna try and give you a date,
Okay.
Mr. Pruitt, to shoot for. Would everybody be available August the 11th? That's a Thursday.
Should be.
Yeah, should,
I don't think I have anything that comes to mind right. I mean,
not at the moment.
Okay.
before school starts, that could potentially be helpful.
August 11th, I will be in newly elected officials training in San Antonio.
No one cares, Mr. No, I'm joking. What would be good for you then? The 9th?
Is the day before possible?
I'm not gonna be here, no.
Or the 9th would work as well.
When you coming back from vacation?
We'll be back on the debit, that's all. Well, but I'm not gonna be on that.
I don't know if it's too far to push it back, but would just prior to the council meeting on the 18th. It's the following week, but I know that's a
don't
long,
think- we're gonna need a few
A
minutes.
separate-
okay, and that was,
Sorry.
no, I thought so, but didn't want to assume.
What about
Oh.
the 25th then?
Why don't we try and do it for the, what do you say, when do you say you're coming back?
We come back on the 11th, but he gonna be gone.
Mr. Hill, when do you go? What,
August the 11th and 12th.
y'all wanna shoot for August the 16th? It's a Tuesday.
That's fine.
Perfect on my
Make it
calendar.
work.
Is it your anniversary or somebody?
No, it's just, it's the first day of school, and that's gonna be,
No. We're
16th, yeah.
not going to run up your liquor bill.
no liquor bill.
It's about
Yeah.
that Monday.
My concern is,
That meeting's on Monday.
they came and asked us for our
$1
money.
million.
And,
They still ain't.
you know, the stipulation was if we have a meeting. And I know that it's very hard to get a whole lot of people together all at once, but
So what about the 15th, the Monday?
that's the day before Miss Neuendorf has to get ready to face all of her fellow. Could we
All of
do
my,
it
all of my little chillins.
on the 18th? What was the 18th?
That's
Friday?
our
This council meeting.
Yeah.
Oh,
we said no.
duh.
How about the next one?
That's fine.
17th?
Will
Day
you
before?
be ready for the world on the 17th?
I'm ready already. I mean, technically, I go back on the 2nd, so.
When you go back to school, Linda?
First.
Mhm.
So, yeah, same thing.
Oh,
So,
my,
so the
Professional
17th would be
development.
fine, yeah. 17th would be fine.
that's on a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. We'll make it work.
Do we, that's what's up at 17th on there. Does anyone know when they meet? When
They meet on Mondays.
Mondays.
Mondays, all right.
Oh, that's why.
The first Monday of every month.
So they won't have a conflict that night either. Shouldn't, anyway.
I mean, assuming positive intent too, if we can come to some sort of resolution at that meeting and could provide the information as to whether or not we could use those funds for those generators. I mean, I know the city needs the generators.
Well, I have some more pressing issues before we give away our money.
I
so-
understand. Fingers crossed, prayers said.
Any,
7 o'clock.
That's fine.
and what date was that again?
The 7th.
August
17th.
17th.
6 o'clock?
7. Gotta be trying to give me a ticket and stuff.
She can be speeding over here.
So do we need to take a vote on this one too?
No.
I don't think we
No,
need,
we're just-
I don't think we need a motion on that. I'll reach out to him based on that time, and if we can get something set, hopefully we can do it that time.
Okay, I'm gonna put you down. We'll handle. Okay, agenda item number 9, discussion and possible action regarding reestablishment of the Hotel Motel Grant Committee. Ms. Branch?
Ms. Harrison, correct me if I'm wrong. I guess it just sort of dissolved itself because we had COVID and we really had no grant applications anyway, so did it just dissolve itself? Did everybody decide they didn't want to do it anymore, or?
Correct me, Attorney Pruitt. It's not that the board dissolved, it's just that when y'all were putting those different things in place during the pandemic, it was like y'all were limiting crowd gathering and that kind of thing. So things weren't being allowed. So the couple of times somebody tried to turn in an application, we weren't doing it at that time because of that, because it was gonna mean a large crowd. There are a couple of board members, I think, that resigned, though, and I'm sorry, I meant to try to grab that. Ms. Connor would have that information. So the board is not dissolved, it's just I will need to reach out to those that were left existing and see if they still want to participate and report back to you guys so that you can nominate those empty places, if not the whole board, if y'all
You
decide.
don't know who's,
I know Ms. Connor resigned from that board. I believe Ms. Waters did, I think.
Ms. who?
Is her name Waters? No, Garrett. Red hair,
Susan Garrett?
Suzanne,
Suzanne?
I think she was on it, and Mr.
Okay, let's just,
Lasker.
I think that it would be in our best interest just to
Did a new one.
start all the way over and get a new committee.
And the way y'all did that last was each board member nominated somebody to serve on that board.
I'd have my nomination if it's not pushing y'all too hard, but
I haven't thought about it.
I mean, I don't have a nomination ready, and I'd like to see a little more context of the expectations of that
Right.
committee
I
before I offer someone up.
make a motion that we table this and get information, have Ms. Harrison email information to council members what's expected of the board, and this be placed on the next city council agenda. That's my motion.
Second.
Mr. Hill,
4.
Mr. Stamps,
4.
and Ms. Newendorf.
4.
Claudia, do you know how many people are on that? Is it 7? 7 people. So if the item next time, it will be to that, and if it's gonna be just essentially repopulating the board, then we need to make sure that we have 7 nominations ready to go.
Okay.
How'd we have 7 on there if only,
I think there were 7 people. It wasn't just 6. I'll
And-
look at the list again. I think
and
there-
we
It
didn't
would have to
allow
be.
any council members or anything, we gave it up.
What about the city workers? The city workers too? Like the people that work for the city?
No. Oh, I take that back. I guess I'm not sure was Ms. Connor placed on the board before she became a city employee or not, but Ms. Connor was on the board,
Okay, so no.
so, no.
Okay. Agenda item number 10, discussion and possible action regarding formation of an animal welfare committee, city event planning committee, park and recreation committee. Ms. Newendorf?
Yeah, so just, I guess, in speaking with several different people and some of the issues that have come before the city, I guess recently, I was just thinking that the idea of having different committees might be helpful just for maybe some different needs for projects would hopefully come to light before council, maybe streamline some different things, and also give an opportunity for citizens to kind of become involved in different areas. I know whenever we look at like the animal welfare committee, well, it's, you know, you can look at social media and see that we have a problem. Like we have a serious problem with dogs and cats in our city. We're supposed to have an agreement with Waller County for animal control, but then you see, you know, organizations like Bell's Bud bending over backwards to try to assist in any way that they can. And so maybe if there was a committee that could, you know, work directly with some of those different entities and then kind of report back to us as to maybe they could find out firsthand what some of the needs are and allow us to act rather than us always having to be the boots on the ground, so to speak. A city event planning committee. Ms. Taylor, I know that you were previously, I think, nominated to chair different events and things like that. So that's where that one came from, was it give you an opportunity to kind of form a committee if you still wanted to remain chair. But then also that would allow the city possibly to look into other things like regular events. If we wanted to try to, you know, create like a citywide farmers market that's on a regular basis, or even looking at different city events that we may want to have, like our Christmas celebrations, or starting something, you know, similar to like a Katy Rice Harvest Festival or Hempstead Watermelon Festival, different things like that. And then the Parks and Recreation Committee was just somebody that could potentially just help, you know, oversee some of the things that happen at the parks, whether they put together groups of volunteers with help with landscaping or, once again, just communication. I think just assistance with communication. So that was my idea on that, because then you have the committees, excuse me, allows other people to get involved, and then they can come back to us and give us committee reports, and hopefully just streamlining and consolidating the communication in one area. That was my thought. So, I mean, if that's something that everybody is interested in and agreement with, we could always form the committees, and then at our next meeting, like, once again, like we're doing with the previous one, come with potential nominations for like a committee chairman, and they could form their own committees, or do we need to nominate specific committee people?
There was a committee already formed for animal welfare. It was, I don't know how to politely put it, so I'll just be Tim Branch. There was no participation, and that committee was overlooked, and whoever done whatever they wanted to do. The committee was myself, Mr. Warthall, Tammy Livingston with Bill Spuds, and Julia
Stanzer.
Stansner with Bell Spuds, and Chief Jackson. And the reason Chief Jackson was there because at that time the Pam was on his part of the city property, and I would really like to keep that committee and add Jessica Warthall to it. Because besides the city, I meant not working as a city council person, I believe that we played a great partnership together, and it could move forward since we're all sort of, what would you say? Yeah. And, you know, be able to move forward. And I talked to Tammy Livingston the other day, and she seemed to be fine with it. But if that's
How many committee members are you wanting for each of these committees?
I don't think I have a specific number. I mean, I always know that odd numbers are best, just so that you don't end up with tie votes and things like that, if that's something that would make meetings easier. I don't even know that you necessarily have to have certain voting procedures. I mean, it could just be committee people coming together and discussing things so that you could form a committee report and bring it back to council. That was really kind of it.
I know.
What I'd like to see us do, sorry, Ms. Taylor, go ahead.
No, go ahead, baby. You speaking first. I thought you.
What I'd like to see us do, though, is publicize this for about 30 days and allow people to put their name in on why they'd like to serve on the different committees, and then maybe come together after the 30 days and out of those different groups, select the people that would be on this committee initially.
And one thing to think about too, just in other cities, and depending on your approach to it, a lot of times you'll do these probably through a resolution, or some cities will put it as like a part of your code. They'll establish a committee portion of your code and put the terms for whatever the purposes for their meeting there. I think easier to do it would be just a resolution, because that's easily amended. But what we might want to do is, either the next meeting or within, like Councilman Hill suggested, in a month or something, have these as resolutions on the agenda to form them, and then we know how many people to try to nominate and put that in there. And, I think in those resolutions, for some of the cities that I work with, like especially Parks and Rec, for 2 cities I work with, was formed by resolution, advisory board only, but in that resolution it talks about when they should meet, and how the members are selected, and what kind of events. In that city, they handle events too. What kind of events and issues they're going to consider, and then the reporting stuff like you're talking about, like if they provide monthly reports or quarterly reports to the council. But that's really not that tough to do. But I think if we could do something like that, it might help. Just to formalize some of the some of the purposes for the committees.
I think that's a great idea.
And so who would be the contact person on if you wanted to be on one of these boards, Mr. Hill?
can we, since this is Ms. Neuendorf's proposal, can she be the main contact person to collect these applications in the meantime?
That's fine.
But for now, I wanna stay with the event.
Well, and I mean, I guess in my initial thought too was that if we had the different committees, if maybe a single council person would be willing to chair that particular committee, then you would have an opportunity to come back and at our council meetings, give committee reports if another committee member wouldn't want to do that.
I like it.
Just something, I know it's something similar that we do with my officers too, like our officers chair committees and they have members that serve on them and different things like that. It just increases involvement.
So what's your motion, Mr. Hill?
I guess the motion would be to,
Do we,
But yeah, before you go, I mean, I think
Do we
one,
need a
you
motion?
probably don't need a motion, because I think, for me, I have the direction, I think Claudia probably does too. We can get
draft a
the-
resolution?
I'll just work with Councilman Neuendorf over email, and we can get the resolutions drafted, and then they can, either next meeting or the one after that, be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the meantime, I think we can get a description of the potential committees, at least on the website somehow, and then just post it somehow that, you know, if you're interested in this kind of things, then.
We can't get employment on the website, but that's a whole total different subject.
But yeah, but I can work with you to get that.
Okay.
That done.
Further discussion?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to agenda item number 11. Discussion and possible action regarding no cash payment being accepted by the court and the city departments. Payments only by cashier's check, credit card, or debit card. Ms. Branch?
Yes, I brought this, I've talked to a couple of cities, especially Katy, as well as a couple of police departments. They just don't accept cash. It's security reasons that they don't accept cash. I mean, we accept cash, and then we have that cash on hand, and it is a potential hazard for staff. And I would like to see us only accept also money orders. It says cashier's checks, money orders, debit cards or credit cards, mainly for security reasons.
That's your motion.
If you'd like that to be my motion, Ms. Taylor, sure, it's my motion.
Yeah, that's a question.
Sure.
Would you consider doing a form of electronic payments as well?
While you've been missing, Mr. McNally, we have okayed online payments through the payment group that should be set up, if I'm not mistaken, totally finished next week when they meet with Ms. Green.
Well, since that was her motion, I will second that.
I'd like to also say it's the date of August 1st. No more cash payments as of August 1st.
Can we get a little more time, Ms. Branch? I would say that's like 2 weeks. I would say September 1, just to give the
I was
customers,
gonna go with September 1, but,
just so we could put the information out so that we have more time
well,
to be able to
it
adjust.
is what it is.
mean,
I mean,
I
I'll
would go
stretch
with
it.
tomorrow, so I think August 1st is a pretty fair
Right.
date.
Just to make sure, and I don't know the technical infrastructure, are we good to go with that right now? With all those other type of
No.
payments, or,
I don't know why we wouldn't be.
okay, I'm just making sure.
I mean, if somebody comes in and wants to pay cash, it's just simply communication of letting them know we don't no longer accept cash, and then direct them to somewhere that has a business service or a bank where they can get a cashier's check or money order.
I'd
I
like
was
to-
thinking that too, but I was thinking more of being able to publicize for.
I'd like to
So
keep
whatever.
my date.
What's your date?
August 1st. I would say that probably just needs to be priority then to publicize it. Social media, website, signs on the doors and windows,
Signs
yeah.
on the doors, I mean.
Effective immediately, we no longer, whatever it needs to say.
Mr. Hill, your vote.
4.
Mr. Stamps, your vote.
4.
And Ms. Nundo.
4.
Okay. Motion carries. Going to agenda item number 12, discussion and possible action regarding Gundu and hiring a company that only does municipal permits. Ms. Branch.
Mayor Branch, I would like to ask to go in executive session on this with consultation with Mr. Pruitt.
Do you want to, so you're free to do that now, or since
I
we have,
wanna
we
do
have, we have an executive session?
I want to do it now.
Okay.
Well, I got something else for the other executive session.
Okay, if y'all will
So Mayor, you have to
give us
read,
that.
if you would go ahead and read the executive session title there. On item 16, just read those.
Just the government code, right?
Executive session, city council will meet in a closed session pursuant to Title 5, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for the purpose of a consultation with legal counsel, deliberations on real property to deliberate the purpose, exchange, lease, or value of real property, and C, deliberations on personnel, section 551.074 regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignments, duty, discipline, or dismissal of the Brookshire. Oh, I don't need that part there.
You'd read it.
Okay. Brookshire Police Chief, the City Secretary, Public Works Director, and Municipal Court Director. Okay.
State the time, Mayor, please.